Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to AfterBuzz TV. We're here for another Spotlight On interview with international superstar Byron Mann. This is going to be a crazy interview, guys. Stay tuned. We'll be talking Skyscraper and more. We'll see you guys in just one quick second.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh, it's perfect. You got the right song for you and everything. Skyscraper? Because it's the movie that opens today that he's starring in? Ah, this is good stuff, guys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to AfterBuzz TV. Byron Mann, this is exciting. You've got a massive international blockbuster opening today. People are probably seeing it in theaters as we speak.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited about this. I just came off a press tour in China and New York, and so it's good to be here.
Yeah, you've been traveling a lot the last couple weeks?
Yeah, massively, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of different time zones. But
that internal clock is probably all over the place right now.
Yeah. Coffee helps.
Yeah, definitely. So Skyscraper opens today. It's a gigantic, huge action movie akin to like the old Schwarzenegger stuff from the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. I saw the film on Monday.
Wow.
Really big fan. I'm an action movie guy, by the way. I don't know. I do this show called Action Movie Anatomy. Some of you guys probably know this, some don't. But I've done 170 episodes of the show. So it's very much like my genre. And there was moments in this movie where I was just like, they're just doing it right. This is exactly what it's supposed to feel like, you know?
Yeah. They don't make movies like this anymore, right?
They don't.
Yeah.
Well, because what I think is interesting about it, and tell me if you kind of picked up on this around set, is that there's so many movies now that are based on existing IP, right?
Exactly.
Based on a video game or it's a book adaptation. And this is just, it's a burning building. It's a big superstar, and that's the movie you're watching. Yeah,
it's an original IP. I mean, today's landscape is mostly, superhero movies, reboots, sequels, right?
Yeah.
So this is a kind of an interesting movie in that it's an original idea.
So was it interesting for you, because you got your start in action? I mean, all the way, it was almost 25 years ago, you're Ryu, right, in Street Fighter the movie.
That's right.
And so that's like how you get in the business. So now, I would argue this is probably the biggest production you've been a part of, is that correct?
Probably, yeah.
Feature film?
In terms of the scale of this movie, it's a big summer tentpole movie.
Yeah.
And with arguably the biggest star in the world right now, Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
So it's massive, yeah.
Yeah, pretty big stuff. Can you contrast those two experiences for me just a little bit, like working on something in the 90s, an action flick, versus working on this? Totally different, or?
You know what? It's interesting. I think the biggest difference is the special effects.
Okay, yeah.
When we shot Street Fighter, 20-some years ago, it was we literally shot it in Thailand, in Australia, in a studio, and in a live setting. This one, Skyscraper, is set in Hong Kong. The entire movie is set in Hong Kong, but we shot pretty much the whole movie in Vancouver, Canada. But when you watch the movie, you never know, because all the exteriors, you literally feel that we're in Hong Kong,
right?
And that's thanks to special effects.
Yeah, that's amazing. It feels like there's a scene, and I'm not going to spoil too much for you guys who are listening or watching, so I want you to see the film. But there's a scene where The Rock does like a crazy thing with the bridge, and watching that was the moment where I was like, this is like Schwarzenegger carrying a tree in Commando. That's like that's like what this feels like to me.
Right. Well, the director Rosalind Thurber, he did Central Intelligence, Dodgeball, We're the Millers. He wanted to make a movie that was a nod, a homage to pay, that pays homage to movies like Die Hard,
of course,
Tower Inferno, The Fugitive, those kind of movies that it's harder to make these days. In today's landscape.
Yeah, right. So I was doing my research, kind of looking stuff up, and what I kept finding were all these articles talking about how shredded you are in the show Altered Carbon. There was literally like 19 articles, just like it was like the training regime, what he ate, the workouts. So it's like I guess we got to start there, because that had to have been.
Look, when I when I did Altered Carbon, I had like maybe two months, maybe 8 weeks, 7 weeks to prepare.
Yeah,
it wasn't a lot of time, and pretty much the mandate was, hey Byron, you're going to be kind of topless during the whole show, most of the show, so we want you to look ready. You know? So I was assigned like a personal trainer in the morning, and then we had fight training in the afternoon. But it was intense. It was like a lot of cardio, a lot of muscle building, eating like 10 chicken breasts a day.
Yeah, of course.
It's intense. I mean, so it was kind of crash coursing into having a shredded physique for the show.
So then, coming obviously from that experience, and then working around Dwayne, were you sort of like, yeah, I put on the pounds, and you see him? Is he just like literally between takes, just like pumping?
Not at all.
No,
not at all. He does it all in the morning.
Yeah, right.
I think he does it all before everything starts. I think from like 5 to 7 in the morning every day. And he has a mobile tent.
Yeah.
Wherever he goes, his gym is mobile. You
Right.
know? And so, I mean, if you think about it, of course, he's not working at 24-hour fitness.
Yeah, right.
He wouldn't be able to do a workout.
Yeah, I follow his social media stuff, and I'll see that he likes to work out at different gyms all over the world, and then obviously he, of course, would have a private tent of weights.
Exactly. So he works out every day. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So getting to work around, a set this big and obviously a star of that size, was that kind of just like, wow, like there's only a few people in the whole world you can work with that are going to have this kind of energy? Because that's what I hear about Dwayne the most, is that when you work around that guy, it's just sort of like infectious.
He's like the nicest guy.
Yeah.
He's very down to earth. He shakes everybody's hands. It's there's really I can't say anything bad or negative about him.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to puff him up either. It's just he is that kind of guy. And Roslyn Thurber, the director, is also very nice. So we had a really nice set. I mean, it was very smooth. I felt like a vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So the press tour you just are coming off of, you got to go, because you grew up in Hong Kong, am I correct?
Yes, I
in saying
did.
this?
Yeah, I grew up in Hong Kong.
So you went home.
I went home. In fact, this movie is kind of like coming home for me, because the movie is set in Hong Kong,
Yeah.
and I play a Hong Kong policeman.
Yeah.
Who's trying to keep track of what's going on, with this character played by Dwayne Johnson. Is he a
Right.
terrorist? Is he an assassin? What is he? What's going on here, right? So for me to come do this movie is an incredible coming home kind of thing.
That's very cool. I know growing up you were a tennis prodigy. Is that true?
Yeah, I played a lot of competitive tennis growing up. I was I was competing in Hong Kong, and my brother played for the Davis Cup for Hong Kong.
Wow.
And so yeah, we come from a tennis family. Yeah.
So you're doing that, and then I know you were at USC, UCLA, law
Yes.
school, stuff like that, and then made the decision to get into acting.
Yes.
And that's around the time Street Fighter happens, or kind of in there?
Yeah, well, I graduated from law school,
Okay.
and then I decided I didn't want to do law because that's not what they do on television at all, at all. Right? So,
Depose the
I
witness.
mean, I thought
and all
lawyers.
this, yeah.
I mean, you'd be surprised. A lot of people think lawyers, what they do is they go to, they give these great speeches
Yeah, right.
every single day. Every day they do that, right?
Right,
like they
right.
do in television.
Of course.
Is not true. 99% of the time, they're in their offices typing these contracts or depositions
Right,
and whatnot. Yeah.
right.
So I decided, no, that's not what I want to do. And so probably like a year and a half later, I got Street Fighter, and I started doing that movie. Yeah.
So at the time you got Street Fighter, that Street Fighter 2, which came out a few years before you did the film, that I think to date with inflation has sold $10 billion and everywhere around the world. It's like one of the most successful games ever made.
Okay.
So you play arguably the most popular character
Yeah.
in one of the most popular games ever.
Yes. Ryu. Yes.
Which is funny because obviously you have this giant movie coming out, and I'm a big fan of your work in The Big Short, which I want to ask you about.
Thank you.
But even like my engineer, Anthony, who's here,
Yeah.
I was like, did you ever see Street Fighter? He was like, yeah, I saw Street Fighter. I was like, well, and he was so excited when I told him you were coming in. So that's got to be crazy that the piece of work that you started your career with lives on in this cult status. Your whole career.
It's, I got to tell you how surprised or how taken aback I am, because when it came out, the movie was so-so. It wasn't like a huge
Right.
hit or anything, But then I think it started gaining momentum like 10 years ago. Like people start talking about the movie.
Yeah, right.
It's like, what happened in that movie? It was really tumultuous, They did with people that, died or something, like, so it's like, it became like a thing, So today it's like a cult movie of some sort.
You did an interview with the South China Morning Post, and you were talking about how a great part in a great movie, in reference to your role in The Big Short, is all you need.
That's right.
And I thought that was a great point, but it's funny because that's the part that I knew you from. I love that movie, and I think your
Okay.
scene in that movie is amazing.
Yeah.
But some people believe that a great part in a great movie is Ryu in Street Fighter, and that's the thing. I mean,
I think most people watch, Street Fighter when they were kids.
Right.
And when you're kids, you're impressionable.
Sure.
So you think, oh my God, Street Fighter is like is better than Schindler's List.
Right.
It should have won multiple Academy Awards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course,
That's
sure.
what an 8-year-old would think. Right?
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
Yeah, but they based the movie around about Van Damme, which was such an interesting choice at the time. Because I feel like when you played the game, it never felt to me like
His
Guile,
character, yeah.
You know.
But you got to remember, he was just coming off this movie Time Cop.
Yeah, of course.
And it was like the biggest action movie during that year.
Oh, he was a big deal, right?
He was a
then.
big deal in the 1994 that year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Ironically, he lives in Hong Kong. We're friends.
Really?
Yeah. We hang out sometimes in Hong Kong.
I've run into him a couple times when I used to work in restaurants. I waited on him once or twice.
Oh, okay.
In Santa Monica.
Was he nice?
He was great, yeah. He
was okay.
He,
All
you know,
right.
the way that he walked, I was like, this guy's still got a lot
Did
of
he do
bravado.
splits for you?
No, but I should have asked him. Well, because the Van Damme thing that came up that has blown my mind was that Volvo commercial. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. He was doing splits on that one.
When that Volvo commercial came out, I was sort of like, this is like one of the greatest pieces of media that I've ever seen. I was like, this guy should be remembered for everything he did prior to this and this one commercial. There'll never be something greater than this commercial, is how I felt when I saw
Yeah,
that.
he was in between two trucks, and the trucks started going further and further away, so he's doing his split. Right?
Unbelievable. And then he's also, have you seen his show? Jean-Claude Van Johnson?
No, I've seen clips of it. It's funny, right?
It's amazing. I'm a huge fan. Granted, I'm an action movie guy, so like that's why. But you know, I think it's pretty funny stuff. But so getting to the role that I mentioned in The Big Short.
Yeah.
You know, something I was thinking as I rewatched it in preparation for talking to you was you very confidently talk about synthetic CDOs and all these things in this scene.
Yeah.
Obviously, they even say at the end of the scene, now you're thinking, what the hell is a synthetic CDO?
Right.
You're supposed to be confused. Did you do the research to fully understand that business going into that part?
It's very complicated, and it's very complicated. Financial stuff is very dry and kind of boring. And the fact that most people really like the movie, and it's entertaining to them, is a testament to the genius of the director, Adam McKay. In fact, last night I was in New York for the premiere of Skyscraper. I talked to one of our editors of Skyscraper, and he worked closely with Adam McKay, the director of The Big Short.
Yeah.
And he said, this man is a genius. You know, you never know, but whatever notes he gives, it's genius, a stroke of genius. So only Adam McKay could have made a movie about the finance industry as entertaining as it came across.
Yeah.
So did I do any? Yes, I did some research. My brother's a banker.
Okay.
I know a lot of bankers. So it's not hard for me to conjure up like a banker guy. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
So it's funny you mentioned that because when I just did a couple days on The Big Short, right? And I wasn't playing villainous either. I was just eating sushi and just chatting away.
Eating ice cream.
Exactly, right? I was just having a good time.
Yeah.
I was just being me, actually.
Yeah.
But then when the movie came out, everyone, who saw the movie says, "You are such an hoe," right?
Yeah.
And you know what? That's the stroke of genius of the director because people saw that scene in the context of the movie.
Right.
All the damaging effects of these kind of products, right? And they, centered all their attention on my character because I'm the guy who kind of got it all going.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says, I mean, because and there's something about the way you smirk as that character that I think is so brilliant. No, I mean you're laughing, but I was thinking about a lot of your acting in that scene is just your reactions to what Steve Carell's saying.
Oh yeah. We actually made up about maybe 30% of our dialogue.
Yeah.
So what you saw in the final film, about 35% is improvised.
Because the final line where you look at him and you say, "You think I'm a parasite, don't you, Mr. Baum?"
Right.
Right. And you say, "Why don't we do this? I'll tell you what I'm worth, and you tell me what you're worth."
That's right.
It's such like I want to punch this guy in the face moment for the movie, right?
But if you do know bankers in real life, they're absolutely like that.
Like that. That's how they talk. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned working with Rawson. He's got this film Red Notice
Yes.
that he's working on now.
Yes.
Any discussions on set? Anything you can share? Any details? Do you know anything about this movie?
I don't. I believe he's still writing the script.
Okay, got it.
And the movie will star Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
As one of the stars. I think Gal Gadot is in it as well too.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And that's as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So you've done a tremendous amount of like martial arts action type of stuff in your career.
Yeah.
Is it something that at this point you prefer to do, or do you find that it's almost like a typecasting thing? You've done so much of it now, you just sort of get thrown into it.
I certainly don't go out looking for it.
Yeah.
It kind of just comes to me. I'm not sure why. I mean, I don't just only do like action or martial arts stuff,
of
right? I do
course.
other stuff like The Big Short too.
Yeah.
But somehow it kind of finds me. But I think today I have to look at the material. If it's just martial arts for the sake of martial arts, I may not be interested. But I'm always looking for good stories, interesting scripts. So I mean, speaking of which, I mean, I just closed the deal to do a Netflix series.
Woo Inspectors, right?
Woo Assassins.
Woo Assassins. There you
Woo
go.
Assassins, and we start filming in August, and it is, believe it or not, it's about martial arts and science fiction all rolled in together.
And you're going to be working with Iko Uwais, right?
That's right. He is the star of this great movie, The Raid.
And The Raid too. We've done both on my show. He's an unbelievable martial art. I mean, just like crazy. And
Crazy, yes.
Quite a good actor also. I really think that his work in the second Raid film is pretty underrated. Like,
Yeah.
not just with the fighting.
So I'm really looking forward to working with him, working on the show, and yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to have to fight him
him?
at all? Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I think so, and he doesn't know what's coming at him. It's going to happen.
Yeah, you're playing a character called Uncle Six. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's not Uncle 5, not Uncle 7. It's Uncle 6.
Uncle Six. That's
very
about as
precise.
much as we know.
That's as much as I know too, right? So I'll find out more. Yeah. So
That's exciting. Okay, very cool. So I want to talk a little bit more about Skyscraper, just because I was
Sure.
excited to watch the movie, and
Yeah.
it's a big deal. Is that a genre you grew up watching? Did you enjoy those Schwarzenegger and Stallone and those types of movies, Jackie Chan?
Okay, let's be precise. The movies I grew up watching and really enjoyed are like really tense thrillers, like The Fugitive.
Great movie, yeah.
Loved it. A little more ahead, like Born Identity.
Yeah, killer
Heat.
movie. One of my all-time favorites.
French Connection.
Yeah.
These are the movies that I really enjoy. A lot of great acting, great characters, and great storylines.
Yeah.
So it's not just action, but great storyline behind it. Yeah.
You like the movies with a little more substance than those like real, like Commando, for instance, versus Heat, which is like one of the all-time classic movies that
Yes.
has amazing action.
Yes. So yeah, in a way, I grew up on movies like Skyscraper.
Yeah.
And I miss these kind of movies. The studio system doesn't really make these movies today as much.
No, it's all franchised or
Everything is like exactly.
Yeah.
It's either a superhero movie or a reboot or a sequel.
Yeah.
So
you speaking of Heat, you're actually filming something, I believe, right now with Michael T. Williamson. Is that right? It's called Only You. Am I correct in that?
I filmed. That is a movie I did a couple months ago,
Okay.
actually,
So it's
and
still
it's by Blumhouse, the company that did Only You.
Yeah.
Sorry, that did Get Out.
Yeah, they're a great company. They make
Yeah.
amazing stuff.
This movie is called Only You, and it's a supernatural thriller. That's it's a very good movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure when it's coming out. It stars David Oyelowo, who played Martin Luther King in Selma.
Right, Storm Reed,
Exactly.
Michael T. Williamson, some definitely some good people. David Oyelowo, actually, I had an embarrassing experience at the Gringo premiere because I'm a real big fan of Les Mis. Have you seen the movie Les Mis?
Of course.
And I've listened to it a million times. And he is doing a BBC series called Les Mis adaptation, but he's playing Javert.
Okay.
And so when I interviewed him, I ran up to him at the party afterwards, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so excited! You're playing this character." I was like, "Are you gonna have your 24601 moment?" Like really winning it. And he looked at me, he's like, "Actually, there's no singing in this version."
There's no singing.
Yeah.
You didn't know that.
No. Yeah. So, I was excited about embarrassing myself in front of
He's a really nice guy too.
Yeah.
And a great actor. Yeah.
He's a total sweetheart. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so what can we kind of expect from you? I mean, where do you want to see yourself? What kind of projects are you looking to work on going forward?
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know, man. I mean, I just do kind of project to project, and I find that in our business, you can't plan that far in advance. You really can't.
Sure.
You never know what's going to happen. You never know if people would like your movie or not like your movie. You just don't know, right? So you just got to do one step at a time,
Right.
And do the best step that you can every step you take.
Is there somebody that you grew up watching whose career you really admired, who you sort of thought, that's a guy who I could really see, I could have something sort of like he did?
Oh yeah, I mean, I like actors, like actors. I like people like Denzel Washington.
One of the all-timers.
What a career!
Yeah.
What a career, right?
Seriously.
I was going to say Daniel Day-Lewis, but then I don't know if you've seen his movie yet, My Left Foot.
I have, 89 Best Picture, great movie.
I mean, that's a movie, that's a role, right? Yeah. But I mean, I don't know why he's retired.
I know, after Phantom Thread.
Yeah. So, But I kind of grew up on these kind of guys, you know.
Yeah.
I really like, you know, so.
Really committing to the role, like.
Yeah, right. You know, do a movie maybe once a year, and just the rest of the time you just kick back. You know, that's the life that I would like.
Yeah, we should all be so lucky, right? You just come in, win an Oscar, take a year off.
Yeah,
Come
exactly,
in, win an
yeah.
Oscar, take a year off.
Yes,
That'd
exactly.
be great. Did you do any theater at all growing up? Anything?
I did actually. I did theater in high school. That's kind of how I became an actor. Because I recalled back to the time when I was doing when I was graduating from college and in grad school, I didn't know what I was going to do, and then someone had to talk with me and say, you know, what do you want to do in life? What do you enjoy doing? And I said the only thing I really enjoyed doing is back in high school. I wrote and directed a play and acted in it. I thought that was kind of fun. And I just didn't know that you get paid for doing that, right? So,
yeah, right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
When you decided to walk away from all the law stuff, all the money and time you'd spent.
Yeah.
How'd your parents feel about it? What did they say to you about it?
They said, you know, you're in the doghouse for a year.
Really? That's it?
No. Well, let me think about this. They didn't know what I was going to do. They weren't. I mean, I was in L.A. They were in Hong Kong, so they didn't know what's happening.
Oh, you didn't fill them in all the way.
No,
yeah.
they, you know. So I just finished law school. And
Got it.
I took the bar. I miraculously passed it, and that was it. I was on my own, so I had to do something. I had to think of doing something. So,
yeah.
So I said, well, I'm in LA. Maybe I'll just be an actor. Everyone's an actor here.
That's amazing. That back in the day, you could just decide I'm just going to do it, and then you get an agent, and it worked, and you know.
Well, it's a longer story than that, but
I'll bet.
Yeah. But it's kind of that's kind of how it started. If I didn't go to school in LA, I probably wouldn't be an actor today. Yeah.
So that's amazing. Was there a part of you that felt like you needed to pass the bar, you needed to get to that point before you could, like, would you have an inkling that you wanted to do something else at first, or it took you all the way of getting through that experience to even think?
Oh, no. So what happened was after the first year in law school, I really knew I didn't want to go into law.
Okay.
So I had 2 more years in law school, so I used those 2 years to kind of dip my feet in the water, so to speak.
Oh, you were doing both at the same time?
Yeah. My 3rd year, I didn't even go to law school. I was doing a movie, like a really straight-to-video movie. But that was my first gig. I thought I won the lottery.
Yeah.
They're paying me to do this. How could that be? So I was out doing a movie, and I just came back, took the finals, and that was it.
You mentioned straight to video, and I think it's interesting. A lot of people forget that there was a time when this sort of like red box generation that we live in now wasn't just the way that it was. Like, it used to be a straight to video movie and a theater movie. Yeah. These were different things. You know, distribution was, you could be in a theater or you could be on the shelf at a video store.
And there are actors that only did feature films. They never did television.
Ever.
Right.
Yeah, it's such a different world now. So when you evaluate a project, when you're getting a script or you're discussing it, do you think about that? Do you think about how is this going to be distributed? Is this going to end up on Crackle? Is this going to be in a theater? Is like Netflix? Or do you...
Yeah, sure. That does come into consideration. But I'll tell you the truth, that these days I'm thinking about comfort. Like, am I going to have a good time doing this?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, if this is going to be in like Iceland for like 2 years, probably no.
Probably not the ideal.
No, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I look at, well, obviously the obvious things are, the script, is it good? Is it compelling?
Sure.
Who's the director or the producers if it's a television series? And who are the other actors? And they usually go hand in hand. If it's a good script, usually you'll have good people behind it. You know what I'm saying? It's very rare that you have a great script and everyone around it is like, they've never done a film before. That rarely happens.
Do you find that's the most important detail, is the quality of the script? Or do you find that the people involved, the script maybe will change, the shooting script is different?
The script is probably 50%.
50%.
And then you look at the director, if it's a feature film.
Yeah.
And then if it's a TV series, then you look who the producers are. Right. And then about 25% is like, where's the shooting, man?
Yeah, right. I'll bet.
Am I going to have a good time?
Yeah.
I remember I had an offer to do a movie. It was like, I don't know, 7 years ago. It was in Africa, and it was in an area in Africa there was no hotels. They had to build huts for us to stay. So I had to choose between doing that or going to Toronto for like 4 months. Toronto in Canada.
Yeah.
I chose Toronto.
Yeah, I'll bet. That sounds... That sounds crazy.
I had a much better time in Toronto.
I don't know if I would really want to live, in a hut in Africa
for like 3 months.
Yeah,
that's intense, right?
But I have to imagine there are certain jobs, if offered, that you would live in a hut in Africa for.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
I
is
mean,
like the how much would you? Yeah. How much? What would it take? Right.
Yeah. If Denzel's in the movie, yeah, I'm in a hut. Yeah, I'm going to be in a hut.
You've mentioned him a couple times. Do you think so? Is he your favorite? You think of all time?
He's one of my favorites. I really enjoy him. I really love watching his work. It's effortless.
What's your favorite Denzel film?
Oh man, Glory.
He's a good one.
Training Day.
Yeah, he's a great one.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Training Day is terrific. I'm a real big fan of the. He did these 5 movies with Tony Scott before Tony passed.
Yes.
And they're all these big actioners, right? The original is Crimson Tide. The last one that he did was Unstoppable. And some people don't really like Unstoppable, Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. They think those are kind of trashy. I love all 5. I think that the harnessing that part of Denzel, that really like, sort of became an icon at that point in his career when he was doing action movies, you know. But he could sort of bring levity to these moments, these action moments, where like you wouldn't see it coming, but you know, maybe he'd be interviewing the victim's father for a second, and he just would have this moment. And you're like, wow, he's really elevating this material. He's really taking this thing. And if anybody else is doing this, this is a throwaway movie. But I can't stop watching because of him.
Yet you know almost nothing about him.
Yeah.
He's not, he's not exposed in the media,
You're right.
So, he's old school. I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. If he ever does like an interview, it's always like you feel like he's just educating you. He's like, well, let me tell you the thing about the media. You're like, oh, I want to listen to what Denzel thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, I think we're out of time, so I appreciate you coming by and talking about the movie. I hope people go see it. I really think they should. This is an exciting movie, and it's going to be a huge hit.
It's an adrenaline-filled ride, right?
Yes.
It keeps you on the edge of the seat.
No, it's
throughout
wonderful.
The whole movie. So it's got some really good family core values too.
All the cheering stuff when Dwayne's doing it, and people watching, they're all cheering. That's like pretty infectious. I was like,
is that right?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Did that happen when you were watching the movie?
No, I mean in the movie. He's climbing, and the people down on the
right.
ground, they're all cheering, and I was like, oh, this is the best. I was like, we're sharing the experience. I feel like I'm on the ground now.
Yeah.
So all right, sir. Well, thank you so much for coming by. I appreciate
Pleasure.
it. Hope to talk to you on the next one, the sequel, and for the next giant burning building that you'll be investigating. And if the folks want to find you, where can they on social media? They can find you on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter. It's Byron_Mann. I'm
right.
on Instagram, Byron Mann 1.
Okay, sweet, excellent, good stuff. Well, congratulations on a great film, and thanks for coming by. And we'll see you next time.
Awesome.
See you guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.